Today I found a home that has over a $50,000 price reduction. If this is your first time watching me, my name is Joe Denny. I'm a Florida realtor and mortgage broker as well. I have a QR code on the screen with a VIP list where if you sign up for that, you'll get properties like this emailed directly to you right away without a phone call, but more on that later. Behind me is a 3-bed, 2-bath with just over 1,500 square feet, currently priced at $270,000. We're in Ocala, Florida, and one of the amenities, or one of the interesting things about this property is what's behind the property, and you guys will take a look at that in a moment. All right, so let's start off looking around the community. I also got some drone footage for you guys to kind of show you what's around here. But if you ever think about, hey, can I afford like an in-law suite property where I want family to live with me? And you're like, maybe I don't want to shop in the 350s, 400s, which by the way, in Ocala, Citrus Springs areas as well, we can get you for in-law suites for 350, sometimes even a little bit lower. But you want family to be kind of close, but not too close. This community backs up to an apartment complex. Some people might see this and say, nah, this ain't for me, right? Because you would rather have the no HOA, no CDD, the quarter-acre lot, and you want to have like near the Marion Oaks, Rainbow Park, you want to go to Bellevue, Denellen. But there are some people that are like, I don't want to be too far away from family, and my family is not going to buy a property. They want the maintenance-free living. So this is that perfect scenario to have that apartment complex right behind the community. You can actually see that there's parking right behind the house towards the apartment complex. So depending on where your family or friends might move in the apartment complex, you can literally probably walk right to your backyard to where the property is located, which is the second property over there. So again, this is not going to be for everyone. This is going to be that scenario where you're like, all right, I need family to be close to me, but not in my house. And that right there is going to be why this property makes a lot of sense. And it just had a $50,000 price reduction. This video is going to be a little bit longer than you're used to watching those YouTube realtors. We're gonna do the property walkthrough. We're gonna break down the payments and the numbers. Since I'm a licensed loan officer, I can talk about numbers, interest rates, and all that. We're gonna go over a sample contract overview. I'm gonna show you what a contract looks like when you're buying a home, so that when you're looking at all these different beautiful homes and it's time to write your offer, you're not rushed into writing an offer. You'll have the knowledge of like what to look for, what contingencies are, EMDs, deposits, escrows, inspections, and all that. I'm gonna also talk about some of the local employers, and we're gonna talk about the buying process A through Z. So if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started with this home tour. Automatically, the front of the house is already a gem. It's not cookie cutter at all. You got these 3 pillars here with the stonework right there, little patio in the front. So for you to be under $300,000 and have a house that already has this type of character, I feel like this is a win. I definitely think that one of the reasons why this house was reduced by so much is because of the proximity to the apartment complex in the back. So this is not gonna be a good house for everyone, but this is gonna be that house that, you know, when you want your family close to you, but not in your house, this is where that scenario works out. We're working with 1511 square feet. Carpet in the bedrooms. So this is bedroom number 1. You have your laundry room, pretty nice sized laundry room tucked away over here. Two-car garage. Now, some builders don't include the garage door opener, but if it's a deal breaker, let me know and we will make something work to get you into a house like that. They did include kind of like this metal bar right here to protect your water heater. You'd be surprised how many people back up accidentally to damage their water heater, and that could be an issue. So the builder was thoughtful enough to include that for you right there. This is your laundry room. So throughout the house, right, as you're walking in, you got the super high ceilings, but you kind of got like the flat top going on over here. But over here, you're gonna have the vaulted ceilings kind of like happening in the dining area over there, connecting to the kitchen as well. And you're gonna have a nice little island right over here. What I really like about this house is they gave you the hardware to open the cabinets. These doors have these patterns on them. I see so many houses where everything looks so plain, but this builder gave you some thoughtful doors right there. You don't have a refrigerator here, but if it's a deal breaker, let me know and I can kind of negotiate something for you. We have the crown molding on the cabinets as well. That is your dining area over there. Living room there. Definitely got to get some blinds right when you move in so you can have some privacy. And this is a look at your backyard. I mean, I'm not a tree expert, but I guess if those trees eventually grow really high, like 3 stories high and like separate, that could be some privacy. You got a lanai. And then let's look at this master bedroom. I really like this bathroom. So you kind of got the vaulted ceilings happening here as well. The 2 windows there that you're gonna put the blinds on. Fresh carpet. And you get the privacy in the toilet. You got the poop door right over here. So you got some privacy. Walk-in closet, very nice size walk-in closet. Shower and tub combo. Definitely an awesome bathroom. A lot of my clients that eventually end up transacting with me really like how the connection is made at the beginning. So instead of saying, hey, give me a call directly, which you can, my office is open till 10 p.m. Eastern today, I give them an easy way in as well. We got this VIP list where on the screen, you're gonna see a QR code. Also in the description, the first link that's there, or if you visit my website, www.joedenny.com, the first link on there is the VIP buyer intake form. And what that kind of is a way for you to put your criteria and kind of like the contact information that you wanna provide me. You don't even gotta put your phone number. You just put your email and I'll get properties kind of like this emailed directly to you the moment they hit the market. See, oftentimes some of these homes that you see on these videos are already pending or sold by the time you see these videos 2, 3, 4, 6 months later, because YouTube puts out content like for a long time. So you might be watching a video now that was put out a year ago and I'm still getting clients from it, but that actual house might not be available. And most clients understand that, but some get really bummed out and they're like, hey, I really like that house. Man, you should take the video down. And I'm like, well, no, because I'm still getting clients from it. But if you go on the VIP list, which I have that QR code on the screen, I can get properties emailed directly to you. We don't even gotta have a conversation. I will send you a text message, kind of like saying, hey, this is my phone number if you wanna call me whenever you're ready. But that's pretty much it. Now, let's keep looking at this house. Let's get into some more information about the property that we toured today. So let's first start off with some of the top employers in the area. Marion County, Ocala area. You got Advent Health Ocala, Ocala Regional Medical Center, Lockheed Martin. You got a few more here, Amazon, Publix, Marion County Public Schools, the city and county government as well. And then you have local manufacturing and healthcare groups as well. This is gonna be some of the distance and drive times from some key places that a lot of people ask me about historically is how far is downtown. So you have 10-minute drive. The highway, I-75, you're about 7 minutes away. World Equestrian Center, you got the 20 minutes, Publix and Walmart, so your shopping is about 10 minutes away, 15 minutes. You got a hospital within 12 minutes, another one within 10 minutes, UF Gainesville, 45 minutes. Airport in Orlando, about an hour and 20 minutes away. Disney, you're about an hour and a half away. And Universal is not too far away, so you're like also an hour and a half away. So you have the Universal, the Disney within an hour and a half. When you go to like Legoland, that's going to be probably like closer to 2 hours away. You're going further south. So for the theme parks, I would budget about 2 hours or so for depending on traffic. Now let's talk about the actual property breakdown. So $50,000 price reduction, currently around $270,000. When you're buying a home, there's also closing costs associated, which when it's cash, it's not going to be like 4% of the price. It's much lower when it's cash. When it's financing, you want to budget around 4% of the purchase price. The good news is the builder's preferred lender has an incentive where they're going to help you with some or all of the closing costs. So reach out to me if you want the actual breakdown of what that looks like, because their incentives change like pretty much every month. And for the most part, you can find with these bigger builders, new construction, they'll cover a lot of your closing costs and give you reduced rates as well. So it's an amazing deal most of the time to use their preferred lender. When it comes to like custom builders and resales, they're more open to what lender you can use, and they'll give you like a dollar amount that you can use as a concession towards like closing costs or rate buy downs. Actual property is a 3-2, 1511 square feet, built in 2025, Adams Homes. Now there's an HOA and there's no CDD. When I go over the numbers a little later on, I'm not going to count the HOA or any CDDs. I just want to give you the raw numbers. That way you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like to buy a property. But if you want your actual loan estimate put together, just reach out to me and I can do that for you. Not in a flood zone, which is pretty cool. When you think about closing costs, these are some of the things that are on there. There's more things on there as well. But if there's a loan origination fee. There has to be an appraisal if there's financing. So there's an appraisal fee. They have to look at the title work. So you have title insurance and title search, recording fees, transfer taxes, prepaid taxes, homeowners insurance. So there's a few things that go into buying a property behind the scenes. There's multiple people working on your behalf to help you buy that property. And the interesting part is that a lot of those people don't get, like the money isn't made on a lot of those different scenarios until the deal closes. Other than like a home inspection and like an appraisal where those are paid like upfront out of pocket, and that's not contingent on the property closing or not, they're them getting paid. A lot of the other things is that we're just all working technically for free until we get to the finish line. So there's a lot of people rooting for you in the background to help you get into this property that won't make money if you don't get into the property itself. So like I said, with the financing, I'm not going to include like HOA or CDD fees or anything like that. This community does not have a CDD. And we're going to use interest rates that are like, you know, today's interest rate. And these rates change every day. The way that interest rates work is it's like a roller coaster. It goes up and down. And until you lock your interest rate, it's not going to be set. And once it's locked and you close, yeah, it's a 30-year rate if you don't go with like an adjustable rate. But you have the option to lock the moment you're under contract, or if you want to wait and float the rate to see if the rates get better. So there's different people out there that say different things, but with me right now, where I'm at with my business, I like locking rates as soon as possible so that there's no like situation where it goes higher. And then if the rate goes lower, we can try to talk to the lender to kind of like negotiate going down a little bit. But I want to make sure that the best rate is in front of you at all times. So when it comes to taxes, I am not a tax collector, so you want to reach out to the tax collector directly to get an estimate. I'm using their valuation tools online for the property appraiser's website, which depending on if it's being homesteaded or not, you can range around 1.45%. So I'm gonna just use like a $4,000 number. And then for insurance, I'm gonna just use $200 a month. But I've seen with new construction, insurance as low as like $70 a month. So I'm gonna use like conservative numbers in some of these scenarios. And then just remember that these are just like estimates. When it comes to VA loans, 100% financing help a lot of VA buyers. And although 100% of it is being financed, and I can get the builder to cover most or all of your closing costs, some things that surprise VA buyers is that they don't know that there still has to be a deposit that's put in, and they still have to pay for due diligence. So like a home inspection still has to be paid for, and the appraisal as well. I would say that all in, assuming 100% financing and all the closing costs covered, best deal, you're probably still going to be at like $1,000 to $3,000 out of pocket. Now with today's rates and purchase price and everything, you're probably floating around 22 to 2350 a month. So you'll be in the low to mid 2000s for this property on a VA loan. On an FHA loan, the down payment is around 3.5% down. So you'd be like right around 9,500 up front, plus your closing costs. Now in this scenario, I'm assuming that the builders are gonna pay all your closing costs, so you don't have to pay this other number of like 10,800. So instead of paying like $20,000, let's say you get to like under $10,000 if the builder like pays all your closing costs. Monthly payments are gonna float around the low to mid 2000s. When we go conventional, we have 5, 10, and 20% options. 5%, there's also a 3% option, and there's also a 1% option. I have lenders that will help you get a conventional loan with 1% down. So reach out to me if you want to hear more about that. But on those three scenarios, I put a primary residence 5%, a second home scenario at 10%, and like a 20% primary, or you could even get it as an investment property. You know, you got 13,000 down, 26,000 down, 54,000 down. You can kind of see that payments range from as low as like 1850 to like 2450 a month. So you can actually get into the thousands now, the mid thousands per month with 20% down. And when you're buying it like as an investment property, something that you can do is waive escrows. Now, waiving escrows means that your monthly payment of principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, you can take the taxes and insurance and just pay that once a year instead of including it in your monthly payment, which will help you cash flow better. And then as you're cash flowing with the rental income, and then when the taxes and insurance are due, all the profits that are going into that bank account, you can just pay it in one shot. And then get with your accountant to kind of figure out what's the best strategy for you. But that's just something that a lot of investors do with a waive escrows, cash flow monthly, and then that bank account just starts growing with the rental income. And then as they're doing their periodic rental increases, they keep seeing that mailbox money grow. Possible rental in the area, it's not good. Like good prices for like what I'm finding out there. But as far as like as an investment property, I'm not here to give you investment advice. I primarily deal with like first time home buyers, move up buyers, move down buyers, not a lot of investors. But these numbers aren't where investors would like to see for the rental. So this might not be the best place to dump your money for the rental with the payments being 1850 and the projected rent being like 1850. That might be a little hard to cash flow at this time, unless if you get a renter that pays more than that. But primarily, a lot of investors want to see more rent than what their total payment would cost. Because even if you do that hack with the waiving the escrows, you're just basically taking this 1850 and it's going to be a little lower, maybe 1300 or 1200. But if every month only 1850 comes in, it's not really gonna cash flow like that. So maybe not the best rental scenario there. Now, I want to go over what some of the steps are when you want to potentially buy a home. You get a lot of first-time home buyers. They don't know what the process is. So first step is, if you're a cash buyer, get proof of funds. A recent bank statement showing how much money you're willing to spend with your name on it, and cross out your account number and just save that as a PDF for when the time comes to submit offers. If you're doing financing, you want to get a pre-approval. So I'm also a mortgage broker with one credit pool. I can shop like 60 different lenders and I can figure out who's going to give you the best deal. The good news about me helping you with all that in-house is that if the builder's lender offers a better deal, I'm fully ready to give that file over to them. In fact, since you already uploaded all your documents, I make it even easier by saving them all, renaming them, and giving it to the lender. So not only do you have somebody on your side who's going to try to shop for the best rates, if I can kind of see that the builder's lender is going to give you a better deal, and it's not just about the monthly payment and the rate, because we have to actually see a fee worksheet to see if they're not trying to trick you and charge you more points to get there. I want to see an overall breakdown of what's the monthly payment and what's the total out of pocket to get there. Everything else is just noise. So what I do is I'm committed to figuring out what our purchasing power is with the pre-approval. Now the thing is, there is a hard credit inquiry that's going to happen on all three of your credit bureaus to get a pre-approval. But if you're just shopping like 6 to 12 months in the future and you want to get an idea now of like what you can do in the future, then yeah, you could do like a soft credit pull. Just let me know and we'll switch it to like a soft credit pull. But anybody that's like shopping within 3 to 6 months, it's going to be a hard credit pull because we just don't want any surprises. And the way that the pre-approval actually works is we collect the application, we run credit, and we collect some documents. We're putting all that together like a puzzle and submitting it to a system called AUS. And that system, kind of like an algorithm, figures out if this loan can work or not. And that does not work with soft credit pools. So if your credit's like 800 plus, you have like a bunch of money in the account and no debts, yeah, we don't have to like worry about doing a hard credit pool right away. But if you have like, let's say a lower credit, like the 5s, the 6, and then you think you have a little bit too much debt and the debt to income might not work out, we need that AUS to be on our side. We need that system. And to get that system to basically give us the best analysis of it, they're going to require hard credit pool, all your documents, and the application filled out. So just to recap on that, if you're 6 months or more out, I do recommend getting the pre-approval with a soft credit pool. If you're like 3 to 6 months, hard credit pool, and then we got to figure out the budget. We then got to figure out what type of property you're looking for. We got to set up the MLS alerts. The word MLS, or the acronym MLS, stands for Multiple Listing Service. It's just a fancy way to say the home search tool that realtors use to input the listings. Those MLSs connect with public-facing websites like Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, my website. So no matter where you're looking, you're probably going to see the same properties in all of those places. But I make it easy. I have a VIP list with that QR code that I was telling you guys to scan, or just visiting joedenny.com, where you can actually put your criteria there. And even before the phone call, before the consultation, I can get to work on just start sending you properties right away. Currently have clients that reach out to me and say, hey, I've been watching your stuff for a while. I'm ready to buy. I want to meet you on Friday. It's cash. Hey, I'm 3 to 6 months out. I'm not ready right now. I want to buy in the future. Hey, I'm 2 to 3 years out. Hey, I'm 5 years out. A spectrum of clients that basically have different timelines, different needs. And I find it much easier when you don't have to like get on the phone for that 5, 10, 15, 20-minute phone call with like an interrogation. Just fill out the VIP list, tell me what you want. I'll start sending properties your way. I will send you like a little courtesy text so you can save my number. And then as we're seeing the properties online that we like and it's time to schedule showings, you can either save the properties yourself, write the addresses down, save them on the websites, and then we just go and see the properties back to back. When you're like 6 months out or longer, the common thing I get is, when can I start seeing properties? You can start seeing properties whenever. I would just be very careful, using all those little Zillow, Realtor.com agents, because they're going to try to get you to sign things to commit to them for 6 months or longer. And then you're going to be stuck paying commission or whatever if you try to go with a different realtor, and it can cost you money. But my rule of thumb is like, hey, if you're 6 months out or longer, let's meet. Let's still see some properties. We're not going to see 10, 20, 30 properties if you're not ready to transact. That's more of a like, let's go see 3 to 5. Let's explore the area, because chances are, maybe some of those will still be on the market 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, but some of them aren't. So you're not going to see 20, 30 properties if you're not ready to transact. And that's what a lot of buyers try to do now, is they want to see like so many properties, but they can't do anything with any of them. And they have all these sellers and listing agents calling me desperately saying, hey, we need a deal. We want the deal. What can we do to make it work? And I got to tell them, oh, hey, yeah, they actually don't even want to buy a house for like 6 to 12 months. So it makes it very awkward to get those phone calls from all those sellers agents that constantly call me. But when you're within 3 to 6 months and you're like, hey, I'm kind of ready to transact, that's when we go out and we'll put 10 properties back to back. We'll visit different areas. We'll spend the day, going and seeing each property, have a printout, you take notes or whatever, and you give me actual feedback on each one so I can tell the sellers agents, this is what we like and this is what we didn't like. There are certain things that can be changed, like carpet being pulled, colors being changed. But then there's things like, I didn't like the area. There's nothing you can do about that. Or I didn't like, the surrounding houses or like the neighbors across the street. So we want to focus in on the feedback of like, are there things that can be fixed to get the deal done? I didn't like the color. Perfect. Seller's willing to give you $5,000 to redo it. You pick your color. How's that sound? Whoa, we just got a deal done, right? So when it comes to scheduling showings, 3 to 5 properties, if you're 6 months out, let's meet up. Let's see in either way. It's me or my team members helping you out. When it's time to like get the party started within 3 to 6 months, let's see 10 properties. Let's see them all, 10 a day. Let's line up 3 days in a row, 10, 10, 10. Let's find that property for you. Once we submit an offer, which I'm about to show you guys what an offer looks like, if the offer is accepted, you got some inspections, appraisals, final underwriting, and then you have the closing. This is a sample contract that we use like 90% of the time. When it comes to the bigger builders, they all have their own contracts, which are like 50 to 60 pages long. This one here is more for like resales and like custom builders. This is the contract that we use. So although this may not be the contract you're gonna use, a lot of the elements from this contract are gonna transfer over to the other contracts as well. So I wanna kind of educate you on what to think about when you're actually writing an offer, because you already know your budget, you know what you're looking for, you already know you're going to use me obviously to help you buy your house and finance it, but what are the questions you need to ask later on, or what are the bullet points you need to think about? So when we look at this blank contract, right, lines 1 and 2 are going to be the parties. Parties is just a fancy word of saying who's the seller, who's the buyer. Sometimes the seller could be a builder, a person, or if somebody passed away, it could be like someone in the family taking over, a power of attorney. If they didn't pass away, a power of attorney is when someone's like helping you like sign off on paperwork and make decisions until the person passes away. And then the POA stops at that point. So the seller is going to be whoever has the authority to make a decision on this property. It could be a manager, a sales manager at the builder, and you might not actually have the builder signing off on here. And the buyer is going to be who is going to be on the property. You don't have to be on the mortgage to actually own the property as well. So you can be on the title work and not be on the mortgage. So whoever you want to be adding on the property, it's there. There are rules also if you are married, where basically the person you're married to has to sign if you're buying it as a primary residence. Have several scenarios where people are broken up or separated but not officially divorced. And when the time comes to get signing and the title company says, oh, it looks like you're married, so your husband or wife has to sign. And they're like, hey, I'm not with them anymore. I haven't been with them for like 5-10 years. Well, then, boom, a wrench is thrown in the plans, because now we got to figure out, do we get them to sign, close on the property, take it to court, remove them from the property, or do you get the divorce done and then get the process started up again? So that's something that's going to happen there. Property description is going to be like the address, the tax ID, and something called the legal description as well. Personal property is, if you want to pause the video and read this, and if you guys want a copy of this, let me know, I send it over to you. This is what's considered to come with the property. Everything you see at the property, sometimes it's not assumed that it's going to come with the property. So in the personal property and in the exclusion section, it's the job of the buyers and sellers to kind of put together in writing what their expectation is. If there's a washer and dryer at the house plugged in, it is not considered personal property. So that can be removed and taken. If the buyer wants it, they would have to put it in here saying, hey, I want the washer and dryer. If not, the seller can remove it. A fancy chandelier that's fixed to the property. If the seller doesn't want to include it, they would have to tell us when we send the offer or write it in here that, hey, this is being excluded. There's too many scenarios, not with me, that I've heard of from other people, that they get to closing and there's a missing Ring doorbell. There's a chandelier that was changed or a light fixture. And I think that the conversation becomes, asking the agent, hey, is the house being sold like as is, like with everything there now? And they'll tell you, oh no, they're going to remove the painting on the wall or this or that. That all has to be here as what's being excluded from the property. Now, the purchase price is what you're willing to pay for the property. If the property is $270, you want to pay $260, you would put $260 here. The initial deposit is what we also call the escrow deposit. It's a percentage of the loan, of the purchase price, that you're willing to put as a deposit to show that you have skin in the game. For financing, minimum is 1%. For cash, minimum is like 10%. So on 270, you're putting $2,700 up or $27,000 up, sent within 3 days to the title company that the seller has chosen. In new construction scenarios, sometimes they'll have their point of sale system there where you'll pay the deposit up front and then you'll basically be under contract. But in other scenarios like resales or custom builders, they'll give you like 72 hours to send it to the title company via like a wire transfer. You don't actually give cash to anybody, and you don't give me any money, so I don't hold any of it. The financing here is going to indicate how much of this purchase price is being financed. So we'll put a percentage there, like 96.5% if you're doing FHA, or 80% if you're doing a 20% down. We want to give the seller some time to think about the offer. So I put 2 days normally here, and then we want to figure out a closing date. When buying in cash, you can close in 7 to 10 days as long as it's not in an HOA. Because what happens is the HOAs have additional due diligence that have to be done, the title companies with the HOAs, to make sure there's no like HOA violations or anything on the property. I think they call that the estoppel. So cash, 7 to 10 days. Cash in an HOA community, 10 to 21 days. When you're financing, pretty safe to say 21 days to 30 days is the norm when you want to finance a property. I've gotten closings done from start to finish with financing in 21 days and 3 weeks, but the norm is around 2 to 3 weeks for cash, 3 to 4 weeks for financing. One of the things that we're going to add to your offer is something called a contingency. Contingency kind of protects you. It's kind of like, okay, I want to do this, but I want this protection as well. The first contingency we're going to add is the financing contingency. We're going to tell the seller, hey, I want to buy your house. I'm pre-approved, right? But I need to do a few things to get approved. Inspections, due diligence, title search, final underwriting. And I want a certain number of days to get that done. I default to 30 days. I default to however long the contract is. So I'll say, okay, 30-day contract, I want a 30-day contingency for the financing there. And within that 30 days, if something happens out of your control that the lender says, wow, we didn't see this, or they didn't lie to us, they were honest and something happened out of their control, you would then put in writing that, hey, I need to cancel, I want my deposit back, and the lender would give you a loan denial letter. I do not hold your deposit. I cannot control your deposit. What's in the contract, what's written in here is the protections that you have. So if the lender finds out something later on that you withheld or lied to them about and doesn't want to give you a loan denial letter and your loan gets denied, I cannot protect you from getting your deposit back. I am not a lawyer. Your best bet next is to get a lawyer. And I don't know what lawyers cost, but it's probably going to cost more than what the deposit's going to be, unless if it was a cash situation where those are high deposits. So you would always want to read this section, and overall, the summary of like what the goal is you have to be as honest as possible in answering all of the lender's questions to figure out if this is going to work or not. If you think you're going to hide something and they're not going to catch it, they're going to catch it later on. So that's going to be how the financing works with the contingency. Closing costs. This section is going to have a deeper dive into what the items are. Consider closing costs. Seller pays closing costs. Buyer pays closing costs. So everybody has fees in the transaction. But it's not uncommon to ask the seller to also help you as a buyer pay your fees as well. It basically comes out of their bottom line. So although the seller has all these fees, I don't really feel that bad for them. Let's still ask them for some money to get you a discount on the property. But if you're a seller looking to sell a house and you want to hire me, let's say no to the buyer concessions. Let's just get you the top dollar and tell the buyers we don't have it. Title evidence, we want to make sure the title work is clean. A lot of these developments are big plots of land that were family owned or business owned, sold off to a builder. They cut it out, did a bunch of houses, but you never know if they have like mechanics liens or any liens on the actual properties. Title company's going to do their best to give you a clean title, and if anything pops up, that has to be addressed before the title is in your name. And they're going to give you a title insurance that the seller's going to pay for. So if something pops up later that nobody caught, that happened before you owned the house, then you'll do like a claim with the title insurance, and then they'll help you clear that up. Hundreds of transactions I'm at right now, and I've seen one happen to one of my clients on a resale home, and they got to figure it out with the title insurance. As far as closing services, we ask the seller to pick the title company, and then they'll pay for the owner's policy and charges. If you have a title company that you know and trust, you can pick them, but then you're going to pay for the owner's policy and charges. So there's an added fee to picking who's going to be the closing agent. Home warranty, the new construction, the builders usually have some type of home warranty or a company that they trust with their home warranty there. Now, on a custom builder, smaller builders and resale homes, we have a property inspection right to cancel period. On the bigger builders, they do their best to like answer all your questions, show you the model home, show you the homes, give you as much information as possible. They do not have the property inspection right to cancel period. It is not that easy to just cancel that type of contract. So we can say in writing here, I want 7 days to get the inspectors in there and everything and get the thing figured out. And then if there's issues, I want you to fix it or I'm backing out. With the bigger builders, they're gonna try their best to fix the issues to keep that contract. So I would say ask as many questions as possible before locking in a contract with one of the bigger builders. You still have protection with like the financing contingency and everything. So if the financing doesn't work out, you could still put in writing it didn't work out, and then the lender's denial letter, and they should be able to give you your deposit back. Now, when it comes to addendums or addenda, there's other things that we add to the contract to protect you as well. So for example, we're gonna put something called an appraisal contingency. See, prices go up and down. Although that house went down $50,000 and the price is now $270,000, we wanna make sure that a few weeks in, 1 or 2 weeks in, that you hire someone, you know, that the bank's gonna tell you to pay to hire someone through like a selection process where it's non-biased, and they go out there and they determine the value of the property. If the property value is like, all right, the contract's 270, the value is 275, you have equity. We don't have to tell anybody at all. But when it comes back and it's like, okay, it's 265 that it's worth, price is 270, we have an issue there, and we have to figure out what's gonna happen. Now, this is gonna sound crazy, but the seller's gonna ask, can the buyer pay the difference? I do not recommend paying the difference because you're kind of like forcing the future equity of the property that way, and you're like paying more than what it's worth. Most people don't do that. They used to do that like around 2020, 2021. I recommend having the seller come down. So the scenarios are as follow. Nobody can force the seller to come down to what the property is worth. I know that sounds crazy, but the seller wants to sell the house. So most of the time, seller will come down or buyer will go up, or there's a hybrid scenario where if this is the house and it has to be the house, I've seen it where realtors chip in, buyers chip in, sellers chip in, and a $2,000 difference gets covered by everybody chipping in $500. It's just an example. So there's different ways to get that done. If you are selling a property, a lot of people don't know this, but you can actually start buying a property while you're selling a property. What makes the biggest difference is if your property's under contract or not. Everything else is just noise. Oh, I got the pictures already. Oh, I picked the realtor already. Oh, I already know I have a buyer waiting on me to list it. None of that matters because the document that we attach, it asks a very simple question. You're selling a property. Is it under contract or is it not? That's what it comes down to. So everything else that you kind of tell the seller doesn't really matter. They base it on, are you in contract or not? And most of the time, almost every time, they'll only consider your offer if you're under contract. There's an exception. I have gotten some done where my buyer was thinking of selling, and we had to go through 5 different houses for one of them that was so desperate to say, yes, we'll take your offer, take all the time you need, take 2 months, take 3 months. But they lost out on the first few houses that they actually wanted because the sellers did not want to work with them. So I can help you buy a house while you're selling a house as well. Sale of the buyer's property there. Seller's agreement with respect to buyer's broker compensation. At this time, I'm charging my commission to the sellers. The commissions vary. There's no set commission. There's 1%, there's 10%. So what I do is I'll just talk to the seller and see what they're offering as commission, and I'll charge them that commission so that you as the buyer can save some money on the commission right there. But that's pretty much it. That's an overview of like what an offer looks like. If you have any questions, reach out to me directly and consider subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.